Hello and welcome to this edition of COVID Cares, Heartcrafted Foundation, in discussion with Nikhil Thard. So welcome Nikhil to this edition of COVID Cares. So COVID Cares is a series of conversations that we are having from Heartcrafted Foundation in order to chronicle the stories of compassion and the stories of help and support to fellow human beings and animals as well during the time of the lockdown post this unprecedented pandemic that we all have witnessed for the last 6 months or so.
Right.
In the last 1 month or so, maybe a little more than a month, we have had several discussions and conversations really with various people from across different strata of life who have gone out of their way to lend a helping hand, do something that was not really expected of them, which they thought was important in order to help the people who have been severely affected by the global pandemic. Without much ado, I will welcome you once again, Nikhil, to this show. I just want to take a little time to introduce what our foundation stands for. So our foundation, which is Heartcrafted Foundation, has been set up to work for creating livelihoods especially for women in the informal sector, so that they can create the kind of economic empowerment that they need in order to take their families forward. So we've had several interventions in the last few years, working with people, working with women, and primarily our areas of focus have been in the areas where there is there's a relationship with continuation of traditions, crafts, culture, and conservation of environment. So far we've been working primarily in Assam to improve the livelihoods of many women who have a traditional skill of handlooms and handicraft, and we are now looking to also work in other parts of the country. So the reason for this is because if women, like a great man has said, if you empower a woman, she can empower the society along with her. So, and through this series of discussions, why we're having these discussions is really to understand what really happened and how people went out of the way, how you create an ecosystem of support to each other. So now that I have given a short brief, I'll just give a little brief about our guest today, Mr. Nikhil Thard. So Nikhil is the chairman of Edifice Labs, co-founder of Lahe Lahe, and founder of Kestrel LLP. Previously, he was co-founder of the Design Way and MD of Rathi and Thard Properties Private Limited. To talk a little bit about Nikhil's education. So Nikhil studied at Bishop Cotton Boys School and he did his BE from Nagpur University. And he also worked at Infosys at the beginning of his career. And I just want to add one more thing is that Nikhil is originally from Tinsukia in Assam, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, I just want to add another thing that maybe many of us were very familiar in Bangalore with this beautiful space that you have created. You and your wife, Mansi, together have created, which is Lahe Lahe. And, this is just a small thing that I want to share because when I heard this word first, I thought, wow, this is Asmi's word, which, means slowly, slowly, right? And who would possibly like to name an organization after this word, which is, actually laughed at, by everybody. And it's a self-deprecating term, right? That Everything is slowly. But I know you have a reason for naming that, and I would like you to tell us about that. I hand it over to you with my first question is that, of course, I would like to hear, just as I said, a little more about your work so far with the various organizations and with Lahe Lahe Foundation. And also, I would then like you to answer the question, which is really the, which really for which we are here today, which is that what made you take up this initiative of helping out the people that which you have been doing for the last few months, and why did you do it? So I'll hand it over to you, Nikhil, to let us know.
Sure. Thanks, Tonali, and thanks for having me here. This is my first interview, so please excuse my naivety. Things are different. Being on the digital platform, I'm not very comfortable. So having said that, Lahe Lahe, just to give briefly, we started off to provide a space where you're not judged. In an urban space, we are left alone and we fight too many battles which we are not supposed to. And our support system is back there in our small towns and villages where we come from. And there is no space where you can be true to yourself. So we created Lahe Lahe, and it's been around 5 years now, and it's been a revelation. It's been a labor of love for both of us and the team involved. It's a trust. It has been doing good work, and we are proud of it. So at Lahe Lahe, because the intent is to provide empathy, a space where you acknowledge other human beings as other human beings, as human beings, and not as an MD or a VP or something. When the pandemic hit in the beginning of March, we started to realize that our footfall was going down, and we shut down Lahe Lahe on March 15th and let people go back to their hometowns, which was a good thing. And when finally the lockdown was announced, we suddenly started to see the tremendous fear and loss of direction from people all around us. The bigger boys are there, but the smaller people, what I mean by smaller wage earners or the day-to-day wage earners or the local people here, everyone was not sure whether the meals will come or not. So where Lahe Lahe is based is in a very interesting space where there is like it's a confluence of Indranagar and Kodi Ali. So it's a very different space where we get to see reality as the way it is. So I was seeing kids and their parents, elderly women on the road, standing next to a closed temple and praying. I thought, like, let's do something about it. Let's try and help. So one of the things I would do is on my walk in the morning, I would give some lady, take her to a vegetable shop and let her buy whatever she wants to buy, or give her some money. Or in a bakery, give the baker 500 rupees and tell him that, you pay whoever you want to give. You feel like you give free food. So smaller gestures we started with, buying everything from local people, not buying from any store, and not doing any negotiation. In fact, always leaving something in the hand, giving them a hand sanitizer or a mask or something. Yeah. So the intent was to genuinely just help one person on a day. That was the intent.
Right.
It just kept on opening doors. Everything just kept on happening, and we ended up executing around 15 to 20 projects. At one point of time, we were giving 300 meals, lunch and dinner every day at Lahe Lahe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And this all happened organically. There was no plan. There was nothing. I didn't know most of the people who came to help. And it just kept on flowing, and I just kept on delivering. And then suddenly people will come together for one project. We'll execute it and it'll disintegrate. And then
so these are the people who are from the neighboring areas, right, Nikhil?
Yes. So neighboring areas, suppose the food, somebody had an extra food and we reached out for some reason, somebody connected, and then they helped for the meal, and then the meal idea collapsed and something else came in.
Right.
Like ration distribution happened like that, mass distribution.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so I just let you start without giving any preamble to today's discussion because I wanted to hear from the horse's mouth. Now, um, so I recollect an incident from, I guess, 29th of May, right? When I guess we met you, I met you and along with Dipankar, and we had, and then that too happened because I got a message from one of my good friends, Malini Gaurishankar, who's also, I think, one of your good friends, who said
Yes.
that you are trying to help migrants who are stranded here from Assam to get back to Assam. And, if I could, because she knows that I could probably help in this, if I could help
Right.
in translating or maybe helping get a video that you had made be translated or having a voiceover in Assamese. And that's how I sort of connected. And when I got that message, it was the early morning, and I thought, wow, there's someone who's really working on this, and even working on a video to actually then be circulated among the people, so it'll be so much easier, right? And you wanted that to be in a language that people would understand. So, and then I thought, no, we must go as well. And that's how we ended up going to Tennis Pavilion, where we saw hundreds and hundreds of migrants from
Yeah.
various states. So I just wanted to ask you, so now that you mentioned about your starting this whole activity, helping with people from around the slum areas around your office and around your foundation, how did you chance upon doing this entire work, which is about helping migrants go back home? Because I think we all know the migrant story. We don't need anything more to be said. It was one of the biggest tragedies of this whole pandemic and the lockdown. So how did it occur to you that you have to help these people get back home, and that you had to help not only in getting them getting back home, but also to help them have a comfortable time when they're staying in a accommodation that's being provided by the government? And what did you do in that whole space?
So, see, we are all migrants. We are not from Bangalore. We have
Exactly.
come from our small towns,
Yeah, we all are
and
migrants. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and we have a roof over our head, and we built our family here. And to just see the kind of pain the migrants were going through, they were walking barefoot to cross the state because they were not able to find any direction here. There was complete chaos. And being in the construction field, I realized that we do employ a lot of migrant workers, and my intent was just because they help us in building our businesses
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that some of them, at least one train, I'm able to help out. That was the intent. And I reached out to the Kradai, our association, also saying that, hey, I'm really disturbed and I really want to help out, get some
Right.
people back home.
Right.
And then one thing led to another, and people started connecting. We raised some funds and we started doing things. We collected old toys, clothes, some as like Armani dresses were new Armani dresses, and we went around the migrant camps to distribute it. And it was an experience for me. Especially one of the things which I remember very clearly is the kids of the migrant workers, and how they will be so wary or so conscious in picking up a toy. They would be standing right there wanting to pick it up but not sure how or whether they're allowed to do it. And once they were giving a free hand, and they would pick up one or two toys, and then they will just lose themselves in that whole thing while the whole world around them was collapsing, which was extraordinary to see. I have a 5-year-old son, and just seeing those kids, I know you understand that how blessed God has given you, how blessed you are to be able to provide something and not go through this kind of a trauma. So the intent was that, as much as you can, try and help out. So we did give food, some bags. I don't even recall
Yeah,
masks.
maybe I can. I also recollect in that camp when I was also there. I think we had distributed. You had collected. You had done a big collection of clothes,
Toys.
books,
And
toys,
yeah,
chappals, And I remember how passionately you were, kind of involved in the entire distribution exercise. I mean, that was really what was an eye opener. And like you said, yes, I mean, there were little instances where I think, we saw that, they were not scrambling to get the products or the things. They stood in line, they waited for their turn.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, somehow having, because I've been an entrepreneur in my life, I've seen success, and I've also seen the hollowness of urban space where you are mostly alone, and that whole aspect kept on driving me to provide a space for urban dwellers to get back home or to get some breathing space in the city of Bangalore during COVID time.
Absolutely. And yeah, and you're very right when you said that we are all migrants, right? It's just that we are migrants in a slightly different way. We have a roof over our head. We have, a better, sort of a economic, maybe relatively better. I can't say, for, like a generically that everybody is, better. But yes, I mean, for them, the informal sector workers have had so much of other issues, right? In terms of the fact that, when I was talking to some of them in that same meeting, I think we all heard that some of them were just asked to leave their jobs the very next day from the time the lockdown started. Some of them even started walking to the nearest bus stop or the railway station. So yeah, I know. I mean, I think, by now we know enough of the sorrow and the tragedies that have befallen this particular sector. And I think, what you have done is really amazing. And when you sent the people home, I think that was a great sense of satisfaction as well, right?
Yes.
That yes,
Yes.
because at least they are back with their families in their own ecosystem.
Yeah.
Right, right. So so I think you mentioned that it happened as a more like an organic thing. You didn't really plan it, right? I mean, like you
Nothing.
said, yeah, this emotion hit you that, we need to help them get home. And
Yes.
and so, you got support the moment you, shared maybe your thought with others. And one, like you said, one thing led to another, and, things started happening. So you just help us understand a little bit about what were the outcomes in terms of, like numbers, how many migrants who were there, from which states, how many days they had to spend there, how many could actually go back home. I mean, if not exactly in these words, maybe in your own way, what really happened?
No, so see, for me to give any statistics will be extremely difficult because I would not know. But uh, it was a simple understanding to remove pain from one person's life for that day. That was the logic. And I think we, in this COVID times, for the first 3 months, I think we have directly, indirectly helped. I don't know, maybe like 5,000 to 10,000 people
Mm-hmm.
by distributing food, ration, toys, whatever came our way. We made
Right.
7,000 masks in Andhra Pradesh at the Lipakshi village area with collaboration from Proto Village,
Mm-hmm.
and we distributed 3,000 masks.
Okay, and where was this? Where was the
Uh,
distribution?
it happened all across. We distributed to the police, to the people on the street,
Okay.
in the Lepakshi area. In fact, one of the things that we are really proud of is we sent around 45 people to Nepal from here because they were
Mm-hmm.
stuck here, and we arranged the flights, the bus, everything, and then they crossed over from the border.
Right.
And that was organized, and they also now they're making masks in Nepal. They are in
Wow.
fact starting to generate employment, which is one of the major things that we managed to achieve. And this was also done just like that. Our security guard was a good guy, and while speaking to him, we realized that all these Nepalis are stuck here and they don't know what to do, and their families there are struggling. So we managed to get two batches of people going there.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the Nepali people, my friends in Nepal, they contributed and they made it happen in the sense
Right.
contribution came from them also, so it really helped. So
So
yeah,
how did you send them? I mean, I'm just curious to know, did they go, because I know in that meeting we discussed that whether they would go by bus or,
yeah,
any
they went
other.
by flight. They went to Lucknow by plane, and then
Mhm.
we arranged a bus in Lucknow airport, which took
Okay.
them to the border. And in the border, Nepal people came and collected them.
Okay, that was fantastic. I mean, if you
Yeah,
even managed to get them across by flights, I think there's nothing that can equal that. So, wow,
yeah,
that's
it was
amazing.
different.
Right. And I also remember that I think after that, even many of, or I mean, at least I know of the one batch of the Assam migrants who were
Yes,
here.
which you guys managed to send it.
Yeah, I mean, I just happened to mention to the local Assam Association office, and they also did their bit in kind of
Yeah,
contacting the administration over there and getting the people. So I think it was a great thing to happen. I personally was very satisfied, and it wouldn't have
yeah.
happened if I was not if I hadn't known or if I hadn't gone across and met the people
To the
along
labor
the way.
camp.
Right. The
Yeah.
labor camp.
And it's amazing how people came together. All around, people were coming together to help. There was a very big intent of people to help. Yeah. Very.
Yes, yes, that is really the beautiful thing that happened. I think
Yeah.
compassion really showed, right? And that's something I hope that we can all retain even after this, this time passes over. I hope
Yeah.
that that stays with us always. So yeah, so now that we have talked a little bit about the whole migrant crisis, and you mentioned, I mean, you said about how your main intent was to bring happiness to the people, whoever they were, whoever was stuck, the migrants either in camp or if they had to go back, how to facilitate their going back. And that happened. So, I think that was around about May to June to July, I guess that kind of time frame, right?
Yeah.
So now, I just want to ask you something else, that I know, and I know you had, also shared about the fact that you also didn't stop at helping the migrants. You also actually went a step forward and also helped in the flood situation, the flood relief operations in Assam, because it was a very devastating flood this year. And,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that you had gone to Assam as well. Can you tell a little bit about that? And I saw that you had also done something with the Cotton College,
Yes.
organization. I'm an ex-Cottonian myself, so
Oh, nice.
I saw, I just picked that up and I saw your message. So can you help us understand a little more about what exactly happened and how did you help? And yeah.
Yes, I was getting very tired of the lockdown and everything, and the business was collapsing. Everything was going haywire, though we were doing all this work, and I decided I need to spend time with my mother. So I went to Assam, and my parents are there. They come
Mm-hmm.
here and they stay there as well. So while I reached there and I started to see that this time the floods had been very devastating because it has come on top of COVID. And as it is, India was
Yes.
going through a slowdown.
Yes.
So we managed, there is Brahmaputra passes by next to Tinsukia in a place called Guijan, where we went and we met up with some people and saw that across the river people are struggling and there are a lot of villages where there is nothing. So while we started working on that, what all things we can provide, we also got in touch with Cotton College. There were these amazingly young kids. There's a girl called Anisha and a bunch of other guys, I think 18, 19-year-old guys, and they were doing kick-ass work. They were going out in the villages, giving ration, whatever they could, all kids. And so we connected with a couple of organizations to them and tried to mentor a little bit and also get them funding going. Whatever I was collecting, I was also passing on to them, and they helped around 5 villages. So what we did in Guijan was very interesting. We realized that the food was coming,
Mm-hmm.
rice was being given, but the other things were not there. And we provided for plastic sheets, very thick, good quality sheets, which can be made into a tent, and a first aid box, because obviously the floods had created this whole thing where I think 300 meters of their village was wiped out one night, and it just went inside the river. And this is right in Tinsukia. And when we went there, the people were obviously lost, and I went into their quarters, a makeshift arrangement. and everyone was there, and they were having, I mean, they were laughing at my broken Assamese. So, but they were, there was relief coming to them from different angles also, which is amazing because the government was doing a lot. But just to see that in spite of seeing everything collapse, they were still having a sense of humor was extraordinary. And that was, I was really moved that we were able to do that in such a short time. JCI Kamrup, JCI Elite Kamrup, they donated a lot of money. From here, Bangalore builders donated. It was an extraordinary, and I'm so happy I was able to do something for Assam, because we don't get to, we are always trying to complain that the ye nahi ho raha hai state mein, this is not happening, we have been changed and all that, or short charge. So it was very very satisfying to do that. In fact, right now also we are doing the disinfecting spray there from Zycrobial. There's a chemical which is non-toxic into villages there in and around.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. So great, thank you so much for sharing this. I just want to ask you one final question, that like you said, this was probably a serendipity. You did it, you felt a particular way, you let your emotion guide you, and then it led to one action after another. So you had a guiding principle that we need to help people, right? That was what it was, that we are in a better position than others, and therefore let's help. So you had already mentioned about the fact that you are sorry for that, you mentioned that you had recounted several beautiful moments with people, and how they reacted to this situation. Any particular incident that you remember that really moved you, touched you? I mean, you shared one, of course, already, but if I were to ask you again, that what else did you see, because you spent so much time in the out there with the people?
I think one of the things which really broke my heart was seeing elderly ladies, women, standing outside temple which was closed and not having eaten for the last 2 days. And that was very disturbing and very profound. Mm-hmm. And if we take them, so I gave money, I would go and buy something like idli or something for them to eat, and they would not eat, they would take it for their families. And they have not eaten, and they're like really elderly, they're like maybe 70 plus or something. So I remember it was in Indiranagar near the Sai Baba thing. I gave a lady $500, and she blessed, and she couldn't just understand what was happening. Mm-hmm. And other lady, I took her to a vegetable shop, and she was not sure what she can pick up and not pick up. And then then obviously once we got into the flow, it was good. But just 500 rupees, which we would spend on a pizza, gave them that hope that they are taken care of, and the God is there somewhere looking after them, was extraordinarily rewarding for me. I mean, it also grounded me that we, God has given us so much, and we should be thankful about it.
Absolutely. I think that is the single biggest realization, right, that we all have had. And of course, you have, done so much more than just having the realization. You actually went out and helped as much as you could. So, and of course, you also shared that earlier incident in the camp where the children were, how courteous they were in receiving the products, right? They did not scramble for when everything was available to them. So that is another. So, so I think, it's a very wonderful, story to share with everyone, that kindness can exist anywhere. We can just take a cue from any situation and, let our, feelings guide us, and let our actions speak for themselves. And you have been a prime example. And I know that you are still not stopping, because I see updates from you all the time, which means that you are carrying the work further on, because like we all know, I mean, this is probably just the tip of the iceberg, right? I mean, now livelihoods will suffer, there will be more poverty. So I think I'm sure you have some thoughts as well, and some, going forward as well. But the last few months, of course, were the most distressing, where people had to be at least fed, right? So I think that was a wonderful thing that, we understood from you today. And so situations like this, incidents like this, hopefully will help all of us, everybody who's also going to be watching this, to take a cue from this, and possibly kind of share it or use it in their own lives. So thank you so much, Nikhil, for this sharing, and I hope we could have another conversation maybe later on sometime, and maybe discuss some more areas to work together for the next phase of this whole journey, right? The post-COVID. So today I would like to take a break. I would like to close this conversation with the note of a big thank you to you and to Lahe Lahe, and all of the team that is also working with you. And so good evening and good night, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you. I'm going to end the recording now. Thank you.